Hey, look at all my gear. New to me is this timeless bronze razor. It's the closed comb version, so currently the only gap they offer, I believe, is 0.38. This is the 1800 from Semogue. It's a Boar brush. It's been doing great. It's got 9 uses on it. Really happy with it as a brush. It's already comfortable and it's just going to get even better from here on out. The blade we're going to use is one I used yesterday, Viking Sword by Personna, and really happy with that one. Don't see it around a lot by other people, but I ran across it in a sampler. It's working really great for me so far. A couple different razors. And then I have a sample of Wickham, 1912, and this is the Scottish Heather sample. Fairly firm soap. I've gotten really nice shaves out of my other Wickham soaps. I tried Magnum and Russian Leather, and I was really happy with those. And so they were running a sale on their samples, and so I got another few that look good. Scottish Heather, that smells nice. So I'm going to, this is my 1/4 teaspoons scoop. I did not fill it full because I don't think I need that much of it. I'm going to press it into the bottom of my lather bowl, and I'm also going to wet my face. You've seen everything else, so then I'll be whipping up the lather. All right. The tap water, my tap water is hard. However, the water that my brush is using is soft because it's distilled water. I'm doing this Boarathon, so-called, because I've got 7 Boar brushes that I am very interested in seeing how they develop together at the same use count, basically. And so I'm working them all kind of one at a time through a cycle. And I really like this little guy, 1800, working really well. And it's remarkable. You saw me shake out most of the water out of the brush, and I mean, I have a ton of very light, high structure lather. It's not like gluey or creamy by any means. It's kind of the opposite, but that's okay. I mean, we haven't even started adding water to it. And this was less than a 1/4 teaspoon, so that's one of the things I like about the harder soaps, because that means there's less water in them. You're not paying for water at soap prices. And since this is responding so well, yeah, let me go ahead and put the other half in. So now we have a full teaspoon in there. As I'm raising all these boars up, I wanted to employ something of a shortcut method, because since I'm rotating 7 of them, then I'm using them, you know, once a week or so, and it could just take quite a while. And so what I picked was soaking them in water for 1 to 3 hours before each use, and it's proven to be a great way to break in Semogues and Zeniths. They just work great after just a few uses. And so then once I realized I was soaking them for so long, I thought maybe my hard water with its deposits and calcium and iron or whatever is in hard water, minerals and whatnot, maybe that's, if I'm soaking these brushes for that long, maybe I need to switch to something a little softer. So that's why I switched to distilled water. Added another ½ teaspoon. Lather just looks terrific. Yeah, that's nice. Kind of green, planty smelling. Lather looks really good. It's starting to kind of cream up now instead of being kind of high structure and airy like I told you it started out. As I've been mixing it, it starts to change and it kind of works some of those tiny bubbles out. And then as we keep adding water, then it creams that lather up nicely. Do a little finger test here. Just barely feel the ridges on my finger prints. So this guy might be about ready to use. I just put the 2 teaspoons of water in it. Can always add a little bit more water as I need to. So this is really, let's pull it up out and let's watch it hang and stuff. You can see it's kind of solid there. I think I'm going to add a ½ teaspoon. So I've refilled the syringe and there's a ½ teaspoon. Almost a mint smell with this. I don't know if it's if there is another plant that it's almost like a zesty. It's definitely herbal. That's interesting to see. Let's see how it smells when it's on my face. I can smell a little bit coming up from the bowl. So that means it's probably going to be a very light scent when it's lathered. Alright, now let's show you what the consistency looks like. Yeah, how about that? Let me try that out. Sometimes I like it a little bit more wet than that. Some soaps, you know, but I can't remember which one this is. Alright, splash my face a little bit. I got a feeling if I have aired on one side with this lather, it's probably on the dry side. So I'll leave a little bit of water on my face. Just get some lather. Looks like I've got plenty to do the job. Just one day of beard growth is what we're working with. This could be a little too dry, but let's just try it out. Yeah, see, we've kind of got some pitting and leveling and stepping, that kind of thing. It's just not, it's not laying down in kind of one layer. So let us just kind of make things a little more wet. So whatever green, scent is kind of being this herbal minty type smell. I think it's kind of putting me off just a hair. Scent strength, maybe 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10. So it's not super overbearing. Now, while I let the lather soak into my face, join with my skin to protect it, soften up my hairs a little bit, let's talk about this razor. I just got it in today. It is the Timeless Bronze. And as you can see, it's not really a piece of glorious artwork. The blocky base plate here. You've got nice stylings, and to me, the handle looks like an old church woman, just kind of straight up and down with a little belt cinch in the middle, and so for a while, it was easy to resist. I do love timeless razors. One thing nice about it, you can see how it grips the blade right up next to the edge from the top and the bottom, just like its stainless steel brothers. This is supposed to be kind of a mild or medium to mild razor in terms of efficiency, in terms of aggression, and that's kind of the range that I like. But I didn't really like the looks of it too much. But I was just seeing such neat reports that seem to be written by people who want the kind of things that I want in a shave. And so I thought about it and I said, nah, it's kind of expensive and I have enough razors, so let's just not. Unless maybe a crazy, amazing deal comes by. And one did. And so I went ahead and grabbed it. So I thought I'll try it. And if I don't like it, I can always just resell it. But it is nicer to look at in person. And if you would like to see it up close, we'll do a razor tour at the end of the video so you can see it in more detail close up to the camera. All right. So here we go. I have no idea what to expect. I think kind of just a nice smooth medium to mild type shave. We'll see what happens. It's not slicing through hairs like it's butter. I can definitely hear it. I can feel the sensation of the hairs being touched. Okay, so it's not quite smooth like my foot tip razors. Audio chatter is a little bit more than I might expect with the blade being held so firmly. All right, let's rinse. All right, so we'll load up the Boar brush again. Performance is, get the water out of my goatee there. It can definitely upset the balance of the lather. Yeah, I'm going to end up with a good bit of extra lather. Okay, now I've got wet hands. You know what let's do? Let's do a little test. I want to get wet soapy hands. See how well this handle is to hold when wet. Oh, it's not confidence inspiring. I could definitely see myself dropping this if I tried to kind of shave and manipulate it. So that is kind of a slippery handle when wet and soapy. When I rinse the soap off though, I feel very confident. I was just shaking the extra water off. I feel really good about it. So if it's just wet, turn in with your hands, then in my opinion, I'm good to go. So just rinse off that handle. Performance seems good on this soap, you know, because of that good base. It's definitely louder than the stainless steel versions, and it feels like it's not quite as smooth as the 68 stainless steel. So maybe I find it kind of in between the 68 and the 95. This blade's been used just twice before, so it's pretty young. Definitely put more blades in it. You can't lay down the law about it if you just had one kind of blade in it for a new razor, new TU razor. And rinse time. All right. Third pass. You know, it's almost like the zestiness of a conifer. You know, cedar, something like that. That has a bit of a zestiness to it. It's not mint. Yeah, this scent is not for me, so I'm glad I tried the sample. So I know not to. I'm of Scottish and Irish heritage, partly, and so anything that has Scottish on it, I tend to kind of gravitate towards, because a lot of it's good, because there's a lot of scents in that zone that I really do like a lot. But this one, not quite so much. Nice, comfortable shave. So far, my impression is that it's not being super distinctive about anything. You know, it's not super smooth. It's riding a pretty good line between, you know, comfort and aggression. I do think it beats the DE89 type razors, because they give a little bit more audio feedback and feel a little bit less stable on the blade, because they're not holding it right next to the blade, especially from the bottom. I think it definitely beats them. You know, feels just a little smoother, but cuts even better, more consistently. Definitely nothing like razor burn. I don't feel any irritation at all. So really happy about that. Yeah. Now, was that the third pass? I think it might have been. I think it was. Let me rinse. Was a little bit right here that I think I might want to do a little touch-up pass on. So let's do that. This is my trouble spot. So to get this a little better, I'm just going to tug slightly and pull my skin to the side, and this direction that I'm shaving at is a cross grain. My skin does not like against the grain in the neck area. And another cross grain stroke now coming from the other side to hopefully get, yep, we got them. Now the final rinse. It's really funny when you have a little bit of leftover lather on your face because you just finished the touch-up pass. Still got a little wetness and water on there. Sometimes it just looks so much better than it is. Once you dry off with a towel, I've still got some right here. It's got just several tips with a little bit of length on them. So that's kind of average for me. It just depends. I definitely have some other blades, like a mini razor. Many of the razors that I have that I use a feather on, I won't get that. I won't have to do that touch-up pass, and it'll look better even than it does now with doing the touch-up pass. But a lot of blades, this is kind of where I end up. And if I go too much further, I risk irritation. My face doesn't feel any irritation, and so in that sense, it's been a really nice shave. I've gotten a very close shave. I do have a little bit of redness, but it doesn't feel tender at all. I think it's just, super minor, color only, if you will. So that's a good, I think I'd recommend it. It's a good, just kind of a good general purpose razor. And I think it's a great proof that you can't just look at the gap of a razor to know how aggressive or not aggressive it is, even in the same maker, because the geometry is just different. And so when other factors are different, like here's the blade, you've got that top cap that could be higher, lower, forward, back. You've got the bottom solid bar that can be, farther down, farther up. There are all kinds of things other than just that gap measurement. And so to me, the 0.68 is smoother in the stainless steel version than the 0.38 is in this bronze version. And that's just because of the other geometrical aspects to the razor head. And so much greater is that difference going to be potentially between another company's, razor. So just don't compare the gaps unless you're talking about the same model, like the 68 stainless steel versus the 95 stainless steel. You can compare because it's the same geometry. All right. Face feels great. Shave wasn't quite as good as it has been with some other blades. But of course, like I said, we'll put some more blades through it and see how everything goes. All right. How much lather do I have left? A good bit. 3 passes. Something like that. So definitely could reduce the amount of soap used. I used a little bit less than a 1/4 teaspoon. And I love the fact that this soap's so concentrated, and so that means that tub's going to last you longer than the same amount of Holy Cow or Barrister and Man, something like that. And I like that a lot. How much water did we use? Just that 2½ teaspoons. And so since I had to spray down a little bit, I might guess that 2 3/4 teaspoons or even 3 teaspoons might have been the right water amount. And here's a little piece of info that this soap is so dense that I've still got, and this boar is so soft, I've still got some little chunks there that the bottom that never became a lather. And so that means that what I was saying, you could definitely reduce the amount of soap in this one. How about that? And see, just with that little bit, I'm starting to, you know, get some lather here. Pretty wild. So here's this guy after he has been stropped on the towel, kind of dried off a little bit. It's definitely got some tips splitting. He's not opening up quite as much as some of the other brushes, like that 2000. But this guy has I think he has the premium bristles and maybe some extra bristles mixed in, if I recall correctly. And so those extras may be resisting this blade just a little bit more than the premiums and providing some nice backbone to keep all those tips right on my face, because this was just a wonderful, comfortable shave in terms of the brush and what it's able to do. So I definitely like this little guy. All right, kind of cleaned everything up. Loving the 1800. It's 10th use. It's doing great, and it's still got a good many tips that need to split. Upon looking, maybe I'd say 70% still need to split. That'd be my guess, ballpark. So it's going to get even softer. The razor, I was a little bit disappointed because I just heard people extol its praises, and I think it's a good razor. But I think it's in kind of a niche that there are a lot of other good razors that kind of do the same thing, and some of them may be a little cheaper. One that comes to mind, maybe the Razor Rock 84, the Game Changer with not the mild plate. I think it kind of is the same feel, very close to the same feel as this one, and it costs a lot less. Now this is a heavy sucker, so if you like heavy razors, then this might be your guy. If you think maybe the Timeless Stainless Steel 68 is a little too mild for you, but the 95 is a little too aggressive, then maybe this guy is right in the middle of those two. And so he might fit the bill nicely. I think its looks are kind of growing on me. And so that's kind of neat. I still don't know if I'll keep it around, but I'm definitely going to put it through some different blades, some different lathers. I think I had a very good lather today. Had a good brush. Had a great shave with this blade yesterday, and so I don't think it could have degraded enough to be a problem today. And so we'll just put some more blades in it and see what happens. So let's do the razor tour. The top cap, the top of it looks pretty much identical to the stainless steel scalloped top cap. In terms of this part up here, and I bet this part's pretty similar. And you can see, hopefully by the camera, there's some tarnishing and patina being developed in some of the crevices and things. And that's normal because this is bronze. If I say brass anywhere in this video, it's just kind of habit. The only other non-stainless steel razors that I have, non-pot metal razors, have been brass up to this point, so that might be in my brain. One interesting thing is that the stainless steel Timeless, they kind of press the blade down more into more of a bow, I think. And so at the end of the shave, when I take the base plate off, sometimes they are still kind of stuck. The blade is still kind of stuck in there, but not so with this bronze razor. I think it holds the blade at a flatter trajectory, and so that's a little different. But it's a beautiful piece of machined work. The edges here you're not going to cut yourself unless you just really, really work hard to do it and grind it yourself. The base plate here, from certain angles, just looks really terrific. The blade doesn't really touch this flat part up here, but it does these two angled sides right here. That's what holds them on. That's where it's clamped down. Then you've got the drain holes. Now you'll definitely see kind of the patina and some tarnishing on the bottom here. But that's easy enough to polish up totally. And you see the timeless annotation of it being bronze razor. On the side there, kind of boring looking. They could have, you know, pulled some material out of the bottom here and made it a little lighter, but that may have increased the cost of the razor. Also, if they're going to provide such a heavy handle, I'm kind of glad that they left the base plate a little ugly and heavy, because I think that kept the razor in a pretty good balance. So I think that's an important factor, and that may be exactly why they did it. I don't know. But I had no problem with drainage. You know, the drain holes here worked really well, the slots. So really happy with it. And one thing is, I mean, if you drop this guy, he's not going to bend, or, you know, the corners aren't going to dent in or anything like that. Not going to affect the razor, I sure don't believe. So we'll just assemble it. Got a long post, so it takes a second to screw in. So I'm gonna get some polish and go with that base plate, you know, at some point. But I mean, the looks are growing on me for sure. I think it's a nice looking razor, especially in person now. Something I didn't know in the pictures also was that the spiraling, it is tighter in grouping at the ends of the razor. And then as they come toward the middle waist, they start to expand out a little bit, get more spacing. I think that adds to a nice look. So what I didn't really like about the razor was this waistline. Kind of made it weird looking, like I told you earlier. However, it's there, and I used it in a very practical way. You may have seen me my whole shave. It might be interesting to go back and rewind and look. But I'll bet one or two of my fingers were right there, touching that little waistline, and it kept me in a really nice place to be able to, because that's close to the balance point. You can have some fingers around there and then one up here, and that's right around the balance point of the razor. So it's a great place to have a little grippy spot for your fingers. So that may be exactly why they put that there. And it breaks up the line of the handle to keep it from looking too much like a bar. So I'm definitely liking the appearance of the razor in person over the images that I've seen, even nice photographs that have been taken. So you know, it's got its own personality, that's for sure. And I'm kind of I'm not a handsome dude, and so sometimes I enjoy the ugly ducklings, if you will. I'm also a heavy ugly duckling, so that guy fits the bill too. So with this razor, I think maybe if you had a really small collection, maybe a super smooth, really mild razor, and you didn't really have anything in the mid-range, this might be a really good add for your collection. If you have a large collection, I think it's likely that you're going to have other razors, heads, and settings that kind of match the shave you get from this guy. And so then I don't think it's going to bring too much to the table unless you just want to have a bronze razor, or all the razors you have are kind of light, and so you want something chunky. Or you just happen to like the look. You know, I don't think it's going to bring a performance aspect that you don't already have. Just the first impression, based on this one blade that I've tried it in. I'll definitely try it in some more of my favorites as the days go on. But I like it. I like it a lot. So we'll see if it, we'll see what happens. I do have several other razors that shave like it. So then that gives me an interesting dilemma. Does it then replace one of the razors that kind of shaves like it? Or does the other one stay around? Being the only bronze razor I have, I just had the thought I could, possibly see getting rid of the other razors because they may be a stainless steel or, something else. So we'll see. So there's your razor tour. I believe I gave you a good one. Let's just make sure. Yeah, I know I showed you the top cap really well. I flipped around I showed you the bottom cap, the base plate. I didn't show you the bottom of the handle here, and a close up of the handle. You see the bigger spacing between the grooving here, and then it gets tighter down here. And there's the waistline with the little grooves around there, and it's really well built. It seems to be pretty. It seems not to be hollow, and the connection it has with the bolt here from the top cap, very smooth action, precision, ground, precision milled, tap and die sort of thing. So there we go. I want to make sure I covered my bases since I said I was doing a razor tour. All right. So there's the shave. I certainly learned a lot from this razor, and because I just hadn't had it before. I could definitely see how somebody without too many other razors could get it and really enjoy what it brings to the table. If I had it as my only razor, based on my first impression, I wouldn't be sad about it because it gave me a nice, very comfortable shave, close shave, and I'm happy with that. So if all the other ones burned up or something like that, and I was stuck with this one, I wouldn't be sad at all. I think it like so many of the other razors. You know what I tell you it reminds me of is the UK aristocrats, the British aristocrats, like the probably not the open comb ones. They're just a little smoother. They just cut, like the 15 just cuts really well. Probably a little bit more efficient than this guy, but maybe the 16, the 66, the solid bar versions, they ride this nice line between comfort and efficient cutting, and it's just a nice harmony. They're probably like maybe the setting number 3 on the American Fat Boys and the American adjustables, the vintage adjustables. Maybe 4, 3 or 4 would be my guess as to where this might match up with that. Rockwell might be 3 or 4 as well. Probably closer to 3 would be my guess. So there we go. A few comparisons just for your information. Yeah, it's a nice razor. All right. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care and have a good night.